Hey folks, welcome back to Dan's Details. I've been gone for a minute doing other projects, but we're back on the 72 C10. There's a few odds and ends that we had to wrap up. I'll do an overview once we get this suspension done. But what we're doing today, and we worked on last night, is QA1 coilovers. We're doing away with the air bag system that was on this truck when we acquired it. I'll kind of walk you guys through what we've done. The idea here behind this, and you'll have to excuse the mess. I've got a mess everywhere here getting the brackets off of this. So I'll back up just a hair and I'll show this on the overview, but the level 7 brake line kit for this truck, incredible. I have to give a shout out to them for that. The fit and finish, how that kit goes on with these CPP brakes. The factory brake lines on this truck were, they're just hacked up. So I didn't really want to do that, but I'll go over that later. Today and last night, what I started was QA1, lower control arm, upper control arm, all tubular, big sway bar, mounting system, and what came off this truck: factory uppers, factory lowers, airbag bag that was mounted in there, and then the factory mount that goes on the frame for that upper control arm. And here it is. Here's the passenger side all stripped down. What I'm gonna do is wire wheel all this, clean it up, get it painted so it matches everything. Have the level 7 wiring kit there. So I'll take you through today a little bit of the dismantle process. It would be way easier to assemble, or disassemble I should say, this kit, disassemble the factory suspension without a motor in this thing. But obviously we're working a shade backwards, I would say. Motor's in it, it runs. Blower is off right now to getting a smaller blower pulley put on it, I think from Grip Tech. So what better time than to get rid of all this factory suspension, get rid of the air ride, put it on a static drop, make it perform the way it's supposed to perform. So I'll set the camera up. We'll do a little disassembly here. So pretty self-explanatory. Tie rod end off, brake caliper off, rotor off. Obviously this is aftermarket spindles. We'll lay this down here for safekeeping. The objective here, since this doesn't have coils in it and it's got airbags, there's really nothing under a load here like you would have if you had coils. If you had coil springs in there, you'd have to be careful when you unhook your ball joints because there'd be tension on there. There's no air in the bag, everything's relaxed, so it's pretty simple as far as no loaded tension on any of this. So get the shock removed, get the spindle off, and then we'll look at the control arms. So you can see in this truck, now the spindle's removed, shock, upper control arm, bag, lower control arms, factory control arms, and how these control arms hook on. You can see the U-bolt back there for the lowers, and similar for the top, just those 2 bolts. We're gonna get rid of all that. The mounting bracket is, that's a little bit of a job considering the motors in this thing. If the motor was out of this, it'd be a walk in the park. But here we go. First thing I want to do is remove this bag and bag assembly, and it'll come out in one piece. And if I've never mentioned, this little sucker has been a lifesaver recently. Give it a little neutral drop every once in a while. She's stout. Grab my box wrench for that. What I've done with all of this on the other side is have kept all the hardware with it and everything. Because it would be a good kit for someone that's wanting to air ride, like a good budget-friendly kit to start out with. See what I'm talking about? A little neutral drop on the old girl. She likes it. System. Come out as one assembly, one piece here. Maybe. I can get this broke free. There we go. All right, it's out. Next we'll tackle the shock and the lower control arm. I think, not sure what size that is, but this one is. And it's probably a standard bolt, but 16 millimeter seems to really be the common metric size for it. So that's what we're using. You know, we discussed this quite a few times, and I'm really confident that the addition, getting rid of the air ride and the addition of the QA1 tubular control arms, making it static, I think that just takes this truck to the next level. Cleans it up. If I can find the right size. Shock's loose. Low control arm. They look like they're a little bit larger. $19 millimeter. What the heck? Let's try it. work on that just a shade. Okay, use the big bar. Got those bolts loose. U-bolts on the lower. We're trying to hold on to it. We don't want it to drop on the ground. Got that one. This one's wanting to be a little temperamental. Well, we'll get it off with the big wrench. Okay, lower control arms out of the way. Push you up here where you can see a little better, maybe. And now we'll get the uppers. Maybe. Woo! Might have to heat them up. Got that one. Let's see if we can't get this one. This is my big impact too. Yeah, we'll throw a little heat at him. We don't get too crazy, but all the years of paint on this thing is built up. That may help us. Whoa. Let's take this extension off. That helped. Okay. Upper control arm. Should come out of there now. And on the other side, you see all these shims back behind here. It appears that the new kit, now it doesn't say to use the shims, it just says to use there's a concave washer back behind those. It says to use those. It doesn't say anything about the shims, and I guess I'll keep them. There's a whole pile of them on this thing, and I guess I'll keep them for alignment. See if we can get it aligned. This thing should slide off of those studs. Should is the key. Okay, after some heat and oil, it's loose. That's how those come off. And then these are the shims I'm talking about. Somebody's added in here. There's a bunch of them. A couple big ones painted together. This is, ooh, it's still warm. This is the concave nut spacer that they're talking about that will go back on. We'll save all these shims, even though if we put them in, we're gonna put new ones in. Let's get the concave shims off, washers off. And the next order of business is tackle this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rivets to grind off and 4 bolts. On the other side, I had to drill these bottom ones because those square nuts are welded onto here. The top 2 came out on the other side. And like I said, those would be a lot easier to get out with an impact if the motor wasn't in the truck. But we're past that point, so we're going to go ahead and work on those. These 2 bottom bolts, like I said, with the motor, these right here, those square nuts are welded on there. If the motor wasn't in here, simple impact, right out they come. With the motor, long tubes, and all the things in the way now, we're kind of working against ourselves a little bit. So, and due to the fact they've been in there quite a while and got paint on them and all the things, even I use my little fancy little Milwaukee ratcheting wrench, it's not stout enough to get this one out. So we do it the old-fashioned way. And I won't bore you with me messing with this thing for 30 minutes. Okay. Yeah. These two bolts right here, I only had to question my life choices about 12 times to get them out. But yeah, they're out. Have a lock washer on them, and well, years and years of paint and crud and all the great things. But hey, they're out. So we'll get the grinder out. We will grind 1, 2, 3, 4 rivets. And then we'll pry this piece off the frame. Yeah, sounds like fun, don't it? I love grinding rivets. Like, that is my absolute favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. So let's get this brand new brake line off before we get sparks and stuff on it. Nice, level 7. And yeah, I'll spare you all the fun like I did getting the 2 stupid bolts out, and I will I'll go ahead and just grind them, and I'll get it to where you can see me and you'll get the pleasure of seeing me pry that thing off the frame. I mean, no sense in you doing a lot of work. You just watch. What I found on the other side is I cut the rivets, I cut an X in the rivets and then chiseled them off, but the back 2 I could only get to from the underside down here. And I ground them off with a grinding wheel. It seemed like it worked a little better than the cut an X and chisel them off. So I'm just gonna grind them all the way off. I don't like, it's hot, but I don't like metal shavings all over me, so got my proper PPE on. Plus I'm married to Safety Sally, and if she comes home and sees me without eye protection on, she's not super mean, but kind of mean. So I'll go ahead and grind these off. Okay, spared you all of the pain with a chisel and a hammer and grinding. Brackets off, and for this thing being factory, I know it's a little dirty under there, but good shape. Everything's in good shape on this thing. So we'll do drive the rest of the rivets out. Take these bolts out, go to the bag. I'll wire wheel this all up, clean all this up, and we're going to paint all this so that it looks nice. And yeah, then we're going to put it all back together. Okay, so wire wheeled, we're down to bare metal. Everything's cleaned up. I'm going to paint this whole section, and I'll spare you once again this is before grinding and wire wheeling. Get all that cleaned up. And we'll prime it and paint it tonight, and we'll come back tomorrow and put some suspension on this thing. Okay, so where have we gotten here? I have the lowers hung where we took the lowers off from the factory. The little indention here on the front one goes in the little nipple here. But up here, so bracket's off. I have to put another coat of paint on it. Wire wheeled it all, got all the surface rust, which wasn't much, off. Got this surface rust off and painted for the first coat. And you have to cut this round to make room. Let me get the piece. Here, my four-wheeler. So to get this piece to fit and get the coilover to go through there, you have to mimic. So holes line up, right? And this hole has to be the same diameter as this hole. From the factory, this is how big it is. So it would be kind of like that. And the coilover, the new coilover has to travel through here and attach to this new bracket. So what you have to do is open that up. The best solution I found was I took a hole saw that I had and I sat it there, I traced it, and then I used a plasma cutter that I borrowed from a buddy and cut it out. Now, I'll deburr it and smooth all that cut up before I give it its final paint job. I'll kind of show you. I did the passenger side yesterday. It's fully painted, fully deburred, and in good shape. Let's turn the light on here. Okay, so coilover, QA1, lower, attached. Everything here is attached. Coilover is, see how it travels through that hole? It fixes here, little spacers. Really nice kit. Love this kit. Looks good. So today I'll assemble the coilover, and I just kind of familiarized myself with on this side before I went any further, because I've never used this kit before. So we'll go through and I'll assemble everything, and then we'll come back either tonight or tomorrow after the paint dries on the second coat there, and we'll put it all together. Okay, so on the QA1 assembly, for the fronts, DS401, 401. Parts that come with it. For all of your snap rings and your little isolators for the upper and lower mounts. And your hat. Collar. Base collar, and then your little ring. Get this out of the package. Take the yellow sticker off, because that's not going to do us any good. And it just states that you need liquid anti-seize or nickel anti-seize on here so that it doesn't gall up any of the threads. Not what we want to do. And we went with what, a 750-pound spring on the front of this. It was spec'd out, so I'm assuming professionals knew what we needed with how we're going to use this. 10-inch spring, 750 pound rating. So on these, the key to these, and I'm going to put some gloves on because I don't know how this goes. Anti-seize. I'll be wearing this everywhere if I don't put gloves on. All right. Paint the threads, especially down here towards the bottom. You'll never see that really, but I usually try to go up about 3 or 4 inches here and give them a liberal coating. Because the last thing you want is to go adjust these one day and they won't move, and then they gall up the threads, and they won't warranty them if you do that. See, I already have it all over my gloves. Paper towel, so I'm not making a mess here. So, first one is your ring. You've got a little step on here. I like to give it a nice coat as well. And I probably overdo it on the liquid nickel anti-seize, but you know what? I live and die by this stuff. Because you don't want to come back later and you can't adjust this. So on the other one, I'll look at the other one. I think I pretty well bottomed it. Yeah, I pretty well bottomed it all the way out so that we have a good baseline of where to start. Follow that with the set or the adjustment ring, I guess you'd call it. And I don't tighten anything down, I just get it set up here. Okay. Then, if you want to call it the slide ring or whatever you want to call it, and it's going to get anti-seize on both sides. Like I said, I don't play around. Better safe than sorry. On it goes. That gives you some adjustment with your coil. So we'll wipe our hands off. Okay, there we go. Of course. You're going to need a crescent wrench and a 7/8 wrench. You're going to loosen this. Sucker's tight. Use some muscles. And we can take it all the way off. I'll just take it off so I can show you. Okay. Take that off. We then make sure our coils are positioned correctly. First thing I want to do is extend this all the way. Okay. Throw this on there. back this off just a shade. And I'm pretty anal about my alignment, so we'll leave that aligned like that. Okay, top hat. And I like the opening to be towards the back so you don't see it. And then we screw this. And as you screw this down, the instructions say, based on the specs of this spring and the coil, and the 401 here, 14 inches. Now, they don't specify, I'm just assuming, it don't specify the 14-inch length as total length or eye center to eye center. I'm assuming, based on stuff that I've done before, eye center to eye center, you'll be about 14 inches. And we are pretty much right there. So, with that being said, we'll then take this nut, roll it back up against the back there. Okay. Take our wrench, set nut tight. Kind of a pain to get to, but it don't take much. It's not like you're driving it down into, there's no reason to get stupid with it. Just want to cinch it up. Without scratching anything. Okay, got that. So we're in line like that. Yeah. Okay. The next step, take your little eyelets, go in here. They are a very precise fit. Snap rings. Need a set of snap ring pliers. Snap them in, do the other side, make sure it's seated all the way. I just do this on top of my toolbox rather than my workbench. A little bit user-friendly, a little bit better user-friendly height. And it doesn't matter about your snap rings, which way they're indexed, but I just like them both to have the openings at the bottom. It's kind of my thing. There's that side. Same on the top. The quality on these coilovers is top notch. Same exact ones that I put on my little white 2002. And you want to talk about ride quality. Ride's great, drive's great. I'm extremely happy with it. So I think this 72 with the control arms and the big sway bars and everything, I think it's going to be a performer. I think it's going to handle and act the way we want it to act and drive. Okay, there is your coilover assembly. Okay, so here we are, and of course my light is not. So I do have to say that QA1 has really figured this kit out with their hardware. The shade slightly larger. Can't remember what size bolts. They got just a, say this is a 1/2 inch, and that's a 3/8 or 9/16 bolt. A little bit beefier ones go in the frame, and the little bit smaller ones go in this coil base. But everything lines up well. Now it's partially because this is a pretty nice truck, but also can't take away any of the engineering from them. They thought this kit out. It's pretty darn precise. If I can find the right washers and nut in my hand here. And they do have specific torque sequence on this thing. So once we get it all in here, I'll come back and we'll torque everything. Okay, so what we've done now, if you can see, all the bolts are torqued to spec in a crisscross pattern. Upper control arm goes on. Oh, almost forgot. First, these little concave spacers. Concave goes behind control arm on that isolator. It's a poly isolator. It's like, and it's concaved as well. So the back of this control arm is flat. It's indented. If I can quit dropping things, it's indented for the washer, and all the hardware on here is has a nylon lock in it. Okay. We'll go ahead, we'll tighten this down, and then we'll get the spindle. And the lower control arm, there is a little, we're not going to call it a nipple, but an indicator, a nipple, you can call it whatever, sticks out on the front bottom of the frame here. This hole in this lower control arm that's your placement. It has to go in there. The back one, it won't go into anything, but once you get the front one placed, then the back one's fine. You can torque the U-bolts down. Now what I have is a 2-inch lowering spindle from CPP, and this came with the brakes. And you saw my previous video where I installed all this. This was before we decided to go with a static coilover suspension. And this kit comes with a new castle nut for the upper. We'll just kind of lightly thread that on there by finger, let it dangle. Put that on there for safekeeping at the bottom. We'll go get our coilover. Kind of show you. This is sort of the tricky part. What we do is they have some tiny little spacers. And they can be a little bit of a pain, I guess you could say. I'm gonna get my act together here. Look at this side. I did wash it down over here, so. What's neat about this kit is the fine threads, the fine thread bolts that go on the coilovers themselves have a purple nylon ring in them. So if you can see these tiny little boogers here, those are your spacers that go in between up here. And then that's the spacer between the, it'd be exceptionally handy to have a friend at this point, but I don't have any friends, so we do it without friends. And I'm just lying on no friends. You know? Then you drop the spacer. And I'd be lying if I said that was the first time I'd done that. I'd also be lying if I said that I've lost it. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Found it. Tiny. Set it right there for the time being. Pull this back out. Maybe I shouldn't be giving a tutorial on this because I got ahead of myself by hanging the upper control arm. It would have been easier for me to do this before I hung the upper. But we're going to go with it because that's how it went and that's how it's going to go. And if nobody drops these little boogers while they're doing this, you are exceptionally good. That's what I'm going to do. Try to hold it with a screwdriver so I quit dropping them. Got it. Okay. So, upper coilover is in place. And we won't torque it down until we get the lower end here. So let's go ahead. We'll get geared up and we'll bring the lower up. For the bottom, you're going to have these brackets and these spacers. And I always like to run the bolt direction. Bolt heads on the front, just the way I am. Spacer. Other bracket. It's a tight fit, but it's pretty precise. Okay. Washer and nut. Okay. Bottom bolt. Nut. And the bottom of your coilover will have these little spacers again. Two little precise spacers. I'm gonna have to grab 2 more washers. Stand by. So it's the same way. This. Tiny little baby spacer. Bring it up. And I have messed myself up completely by hanging this crazy spindle on here. So let's go ahead and pull it back off. Got ahead of myself. It's unnecessary to have this sitting here in my way. Very counterproductive, obviously. Bring this up. Don't need. Keep dropping that little spacer. Second set of hands would be phenomenal. We're holding that little spacer there. Kind of line it up with a screwdriver here. There it went. Okay. Washer. Nut. So there's your lower mount. Okay. Now, I'm not going to torque any of that down yet. Now we're going to introduce the spindle. Upper castle nut first. I like to hang them up here. Get the castle nut on. Put it dangle down a little bit. New castle nut. Large spacer washer, 5/8 washer. It's got a little bit of an arch to it. And this is just for the support on that. Lower ball joint. And that's why I set the coilovers as loose as possible, so that now I can get all this tightened up, and then when we go to adjust the coilovers, you will have, you'll start getting the tension in it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this, get the cotter pins in it, tighten the little bottom bracket here, and then we'll look at this sway bar. Okay, here we go. So I don't have the sway bar tight yet because I want to set it down on the ground. But uppers, here is, I'm going to point my light. There is my bulkhead for my brake line to come out, go to the caliper. Big sway bar. All the bracketry. Probably upgrade the tie rod ends. And like I said, the coilovers are not set yet. I'm gonna set it on the ground, see where it sits, see how it sits. Before I go any further, but yeah, I haven't done a video in a while. My videoing skills are mediocre at best, so hope you enjoy this. Hope it was informational. The hardest part about this entire install basically is just cutting the top out of that factory coil mount, but with a plasma cutter, it's a walk in the park. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the rear.